Well, with how much they've been breaking the Holy Grail War at this point, the idea of doing a double summoning doesn't seem like too much of a stretch. Especially with how much they've been referencing Fate Apocrypha specifically. This series has been doing a lot of nods to that. I mean, Francesca previously was bringing up the idea of a ruler class. They even name-dropped one of the masters from Fate Apocrypha. But for those that are not familiar with that series, it was essentially 2 summonings, and the 2 sides came up into a battlefield. You had, 7 servants over here, 7 over here, and they battle against each other. And yes, in the middle was a ruler. The ruler had like their own command seals and everything like that. And again, Francesca was bringing up the idea of, one showing up. And again, in this episode, Caster specifically name drops the Master of Red Saber. It could just be, yes, a similar name, but what he's talking about there with like poisoning and stuff like that, I'm like, it kind of sounds very familiar. I don't know. We'll see. But what an interesting episode. A lot of breaking of the mechanics. I'm really excited to see what comes up. And honestly, I was kind of expecting more servants to show up just because, unfortunately, the OP sort of shows you a bunch of very interesting looking characters. Now, they could just be like advanced people. I mean, we already got a vampire in here. Why not other humans or creatures of this world that aren't servants? But I kind of expected it. Again, unfortunate OP spoilers. Either way, it's cool. I'm interested to see how they kind of break things. Again, I'm seeing that this writer is doing a good job of breaking things while also making it all cohesive and interesting at the same time. But anyways, let's get the episode proper. I'm going to dive into it just like I did last time. I want to segment them into, segments of characters. Specifically, the first part, we'll get into Lord El Melwoy. I really want to call him Waver. Would people be mad if I called him Waver? I think most people call him Waver. I don't want to call him Lord. But anyways, Waver and Flot, Hanza and Jester. And then the final part we'll dig into, yes, the most important part, which is Gilgamesh and Tina. Tina better be okay. I'm sure Gilgamesh is going to take care of her. She's going to throw a parachute on her and keep her safe, but that better not happen there. But anyways, let's start things off again with Langle and Waver specifically, kind of observing what's happening. And mostly what's in this whole segment is, yes, acknowledging that no matter what, he's still going to get involved. I like how Waver always talks about he doesn't want to get involved with things, and he always gets involved. This dude can't not, get himself in that stuff because, again, he's seen sort of the tragedies that has befallen people during the whole process of Fate Zero specifically. But yes, the big thing that Waver does sort of acknowledge here is that despite the fact that they had the whole process of summoning all these individuals, and again, they claimed this was going to be a fake Grail War, it seems like the US is doing something behind the scenes during the war. And specifically, the most interesting thing is, despite this happening over here, you have a crater over here, which is, Gilgamesh and Enkidu fighting over here. After all this stuff is happening, while this is happening, we're still seeing the ley lines itself reacting. The mana within it is still being absorbed, which indicates to him they're summoning again. They're doing another summoning. And here's the more interesting part about this, and I think I have my theories on it. He's not sure if the saber that they've seen is from the first summoning. Again, they call that the fake war because they didn't want Saber involved. And even then I was kind of questioning, if that was the whole point there, did they mess up in that attempt to make a fake Holy Grail war and prevent Saber from showing up? Or now that we're seeing this, is this Saber a part of the second group of people? I guess it'll be kind of seen when we do see a lot of the other servants pop up. If another Saber class is going to show up, that would indicate to me that this Saber's from the first summoning and not the second. But my theory goes to, again, it attaches to my speculation from the previous episode. And the idea that this Saber is claiming to be, Pendragon. But my theory was because he was talking to somebody, and Francesca was saying that is Pendragon. What are the possibilities that during the first summoning rituals that were happening, they did this whole process of making this fake Holy Grail war, and they prevented the summoning of Artoria, but in actuality, during that breaking process, her spirit was brought there, but not her physical form. She didn't materialize. And then the second summoning rituals happen, which was including Ayaka with this other Saber, and now Artoria has sort of gone inside of him. Because again, that goes my theory in the idea of him walking around and talking to somebody. That was my prediction, is that is Artoria. That's kind of where I'm going currently with my theory, is that yes, 2 Sabers were summoned. It's just only the spirit in one of them, and it went into the material form of the second one. It's very interesting way of kind of twisting things, which would, yes, apply the idea of him, doing crazy Excalibur attacks and all that kind of stuff. It explains why Francesca is, seeing Artoria in this other Saber, all that kind of stuff. It would be a cool little twist there. Yes, while Waver is, thinking about all this stuff and bringing it up, so we have at the same time Flot's over there. He mentioned the idea that there was a mage that was in the town, and I don't think that he's talking about Flat, because I think if he was talking about Flat, he would say, yes, Flat's there, and I'm getting information from him. So I'm assuming that Waver has another mage that's possibly in the town, and at the same time, Flat's sending him texts about Gilgamesh being in town and giving poor Waver PTSD, which again confirms that this is the same Waver that we all know. This stuff around Flat was interesting. It kind of, again, plays heavily on the idea that Flat wants to be everybody's friend, but also kind of shows that this guy is actually very brilliant and clever. And the idea that, yes, he's a dork, and yes, he's very naive, and he wants to be friends with everybody, and he's running around like a goofball, and he's exposing himself. But at the same time, he's also avoiding a lot of dangers. Yeah, he's running around the middle of the town, and he's taking pictures of everybody, and it doesn't seem like anybody's noticed him. Like, even Gilgamesh, driving through town, he's not even taking note of him. Nobody's noticing this guy, yet he's taking pictures of literally everybody. He's taking a picture of the dead apostle, he's taking a picture of the Jester, he's taking a picture of Gilgamesh, all while not even getting exposed. Now, the interesting part about Flat's perspective is that it points out that he did notice another servant while they were there, which ends up being Gilgamesh. But for some reason, Jack didn't notice. That was interesting. At first, I thought, well, is it because Gilgamesh was so powerful and was concealing his presence that Jack didn't notice? But I don't think that would be the case, because Hanza went and found Gilgamesh. So if a random observer was able to go and find Gilgamesh, why wasn't Jack able to notice him? Unless at the time Gilgamesh wasn't concealing himself, or it implies that, yes, Hanza himself or the church has a lot more power and control and observing capability than a random servant. I don't know. But yeah, other than that, we had a little bit of insight into Flat himself and the idea that when he was a child, everybody avoided him. Everybody looked at him with fear. And thankfully, he likes whenever people reprimand him and stuff like that, just like his master does, just like, the princess does, classmates does. That's a lot of people. Anyways, I think that's everything that was around Waver and Flat specifically. It did wrap up their scenes with Faldius going down there and doing a summoning ritual, apparently bringing some sort of puppet to life. I'm assuming it was the puppet that was down there. But jumping to the fight between Jester and Hanza, this was interesting in the fact that, yeah, it's more crazy action, showing how insanely powerful Hanza is. Get to find out later on that 70% of his body is made up of what was it specifically? It was consecrated mechanical parts. So I'm kind of wondering if that's making it more powerful specifically to a dead apostle, not necessarily to really anybody else. I mean, technically Jester was sort of kind of buttering him up, saying that he was part of this burial agency specifically as an overseer, and that upset him. And that may potentially be because I'm not as powerful against other things as I am to you specifically because of my consecrated parts. Consecrated tells me that it's, holy or whatnot, and it's able to be a lot more powerful against something that is evil, which would be a vampire. But yeah, it was kind of funny, that entire fight. He's like, why do you keep getting involved? I thought you were just an observer. If you do this, it's going to break your neutrality. And he's like, well, I'm not actually fighting a master. She doesn't acknowledge you as her master. No, I said that I was the master. You can't do that. Nope, I didn't hear anything. It's like, just act like you didn't hear that it's the master, and she's obviously not accepting you, so you can't be the master. Even though I seen you literally use your command skills to send her away, I'm going to act like I didn't see that. But yes, it does technically make sense, the idea that if they are a part of the church as an overseer, they could potentially see that a vampire getting a hold of the Holy Grail is something they don't want. Again, it goes to literally every single Holy Grail war. It always seems like the observers never stay just observing. They're always involved somehow. But yeah, the fight was okay. A lot less spectacular than last episode, but it was still good. I got mostly a kick out of the fact that at some point he just randomly jumps up in the air and just revs up a chainsaw out of his leg and just zoops up the building. I'm like, wow, we got ourselves a nice, spin off to Chainsaw Man, Chainsaw Priest, apparently. Okay, sure. I mean, his body is mostly made of mechanical parts, and why not have a chainsaw on his leg? Because why not? Must go through a lot of pants. Now, after the fight itself, it kind of frustrates me because, yes, he jumps off the building and he throws a bomb at him and the guy disappears. He jumps down the building where he thinks he goes, and a bunch of people are knocked out, and there's a random kid crying over the corner, and he goes, "Hey, kid, are you okay?" And I'm like, dude, can you not see that that's Jester? It's literally the same hair color and the same eye colors, skin tone, everything. The only thing different is that he's younger looking and he's got a different clothes on. You could assume that a vampire who, lives for thousands of years and looks youthful can probably turn themselves and look at... I don't know, but still, at least take him off to the side and say, hey, you're kind of suspicious looking. You kind of look exactly like the vampire from earlier. It was a little cheesy that he let him go, unless he's purposely letting him go so that he can trail him. Hopefully that's the case. But yeah, he decides to phone up all of his I don't know, they're like androids from Nier Automata. Like he's got a bunch of tubies, scope out the premises, lock up the place. From Orlando's perspective after the battle, we get to see that he seems like a pretty cool guy. He wants to send off this guy, John, who was, injured, lost his arm, but it seems like that guy doesn't want to give up. This sort of makes me believe that, against my theories in the previous episode, that these aren't like, summoned from Castor specifically, that these are all his soldiers. Because it does seem like this guy respects Orlando a lot, but it seems to imply that he's going to keep him around. I mean, they named the character, so obviously the guy's going to stick around. So presumably he's going to train himself with only one arm or possibly get a prosthetic. It seems like Hanza got some really nice prosthetics, so I don't see why he wouldn't be able to get one. But yeah, he gets a call from Castor. Castor seems pretty ticked off that this guy got injured too, which kind of implies to me that Castor seems like somebody, possibly whatever servant he's based off of, has a lot of respect for his men or a lot of care for his men, that in equipping them for battle, he may see that he failed to properly equip them. I don't know. He seems pretty pissed off. Like in general, it seems like he's pretty pissed off this guy lost his arm. So he seems like he wants to create a new weapon. And like I said earlier, he says he's going to get a package from a guy named Shishigo. Again, that was a guy that was in Fate Apocrypha. He was the master of Red Saber. But of course, the big tip away here, and this sort of is, again, confirmed by waiver stuff later on, is that, yeah, he even right here, Orlando's like, okay, I need to talk to the superiors, got to find out if this other war is going to happen as planned. So right there, we're already hinting at, once again, this is multiple summonings that are going to happen here. And yes, the final perspective that we have is, of course, Gilgamesh and Tina. The best perspective. It's so funny that Gilgamesh is turning out to be like the comedy relief of this series, which is kind of like left field, because I assume based on like, the very first or 0 episode, it was going to be Flat. Flat is a dork, and he sees everything with like massive naivety. And so my assumption was that he's going to be a dork running around being goofy and everybody's going to be battling over here. But no, Gilgamesh keeps taking over the stage from him. I mean, they could both be comedic relief, but it just seems like every scene that Gilgamesh is in, it's not serious. It's always him just being narcissistic, like he always is. He's able to be because he's so powerful, just kind of traveling around, and it's like the battles are happening. He's in a convertible, just driving around town, just out in the open, again, getting spotted by Flat over here. He did mention something interesting about specifically Hanza, and the idea that he was somebody that has like powerful, but he hasn't given his body up to this lord or something like that. Interesting there. But yeah, they go up in this big old skyscraper. He says it's not as good as his town. Even though it's all beautifully lined up and everything, it's not as beautiful as Uruk. But yeah, Tina's like, in previous Grail wars, buildings have been leveled. Don't worry. Oh, I'll give you a parachute since I called you here. I'll give you a parachute. Just a little shot of her just jumping out of a window. But again, similar to previous scenes that we've had with Gilgamesh and Tina, this is once again a point where Gilgamesh is trying to instill upon Tina to find her own purpose. He asks her, I can level this entire city. It'll make it easy for you, right? You want to take this back, right? I'll just level it. Makes it really quick and simple. And she says, no, that'd be savage. That'd be just like the mages that took the land to begin with. And once again, he pushes back on her. Is that you talking? Does it bother you? He sees that she has doubts and says that that's great. That's the foundation to break the blind faith that you have, which makes sense. The idea that if she's suddenly going, wait, is that my thought process? Is that my thought? That's the first step. She's acknowledging that she's just repeating what somebody else would have said. Yeah, what's to say that you can't do that? Well, because why? Say exactly why. Do you not want blood spilled? Do you want to protect the people in the town? Do you want to lord over them, or what? Like, what is your purpose here? Again, I like the chemistry between Tina and Gilgamesh. It's been really cool. It kind of is making me root for her being the winner in the end. This idea of this girl just, I don't know, even if she doesn't win in the end, the idea of her just gaining power through use of Gilgamesh would be really cool. Her just taking over the entire city, taking back her land, basically. And yes, we ran up there scene with him, saying that being in presence of me is the greatest thing ever, right? Before somebody shoots at the building. So she needs that parachute quicker than they thought it would need it. I don't have any doubt that Gilgamesh is going to protect her. I mean, again, if she dies, he dies. So he's going to shield her. It's just like, again, to bring that up and then immediately have the building get shot is kind of sus. I think she kind of flagged it. The person that shot them, he kind of looks familiar, but I'm not really placing it. So again, that's going to be one of those next set of servants. I mean, he looks big. It could be Archer, obviously, because he's shooting a bow and arrow, but they look kind of berserky. I don't know. But we'll see. we've seemingly gotten, again, the possibility of a saber already, and then we have a potential archer and some sort of puppet thing, which could be potentially an assassin. But anyhow, pretty cool episode. Really did enjoy it. I hope you guys enjoyed this video as always. If you did, hit the like button down below. If you like this content and you want to support the channel more, become a member of the channel. And again, as usual, for source material readers, I don't need answers to any of my speculation, but I appreciate you guys' support and all that stuff, and y'all take care.